Morning, everyone. Hello, hello. We have our morning yoga flow this morning. We're going to be starting down on the mats today in tabletop position. So I'm going to have you bring your wrists right under your shoulders, your knees right under your hips. You're folding your toes over and just very slowly entering into a cat-cow. I want you to take your time with this. Connect it with your breath, so you're exhaling as you're pushing away from the floor and rounding out the back, maybe leaning forward with that. Belly down, arching the back, lips together, teeth together, look up, smile your collarbones, you're pulling your shoulders back. And try to connect with your breath and breathe through the nose. We're just going to release to neutral spine. I'm going to get you to bring your thighs together. Walk your hands slightly forward, and you're just going to dip your hips from side to side. And as they go to this side, they're going slightly forward as well. Getting that stretch in the outer hip. Make sure the arms stay straight. We're looking down between our thumbs, but we're trying not to let the head hang. So we want to work the muscles in the back of the neck. We're going to go one more time on each side. And then bring it back to the center. Open the knees, sit back into a wide leg child's pose with your toes together. So I want you to keep the movement going here. So what we're going to do is lift it up and then sink back. So I invite you, for every workout, to personalize this. It's your workout. Modify what you need to. If your knees are a little wonky, put some padding under your knees. So our big toes are together, our belly's between the thighs, and we're sinking back, and we're coming forward. So your hands are on the floor, but I want your forearms off the floor. We're gonna go 4 more like that. 3. Inhaling as you come forward, exhale as you go back. 1 more time. And now separate the feet, enter into downward facing dog. This is our first one for the morning, so I just want you to pedal your feet out. Take your time, adjust yourself, spread out your fingers, lift your bum up. So the other name for that, this being mountain pose. Your bum is the peak. Again, you don't want to look up. I want you to really relax that neck. Do a little yes, no with the head. Make sure you're not tensing up the muscles. And try to sink both heels into the floor now. Go up onto your tippy toes and then heels to the floor. So calf raises. Remember, you're pushing away from the floor. We don't want to lean into the hands too much. 4 more. I'm looking at my feet thinking I've got to get a pedicure soon. 2 more times. 1 more time. And just hold that stretch. So if your heels are not touching the floor, if you're a little tight today, walk your feet in a little bit towards the hands. Otherwise, try to glue the heels to the floor as best you can and shift your hips from side to side. Feel that stretch move around. Settle in the center now. Relax the knees to the floor. And now I want to get some mobility going in the heels and the feet. So your toes are curled under like this. So I'm not like this, I'm like this. Your hands wherever you want them, whatever works, and I'll show you what we're doing. So I want you to try to work on getting your feet flat on the floor. It helps to open the legs. And I just want you going back and forth. So I want to keep that movement going. If you're able to do this, no problem. Your challenge is to go down and up. without using your hands. So again, do what works for you. Make sure you're never slamming the knees on the floor. And again, wider stance. My body, my belly's between my legs. Just getting the mobility of the ankles, stretching out the toes. Stretching out the bottom of the feet. We'll do 4 more like this. So if you're having trouble getting that whole foot down, perhaps you're a little tight in your soleus, your Achilles tendon. So this would be good to practice in the morning. 1 more time. And we're gonna bring it back down to the knees. Into table. We're gonna bring the left leg forward. Right leg is back. And I just wanna start stretching the hamstring of the left leg. So we're gonna keep the foot up flat on the floor for this. So we're gonna stretch back, try to straighten out that left leg, toes on the floor, and then just come forward a bit. Getting a little bit of a stretch of that right hip as we come forward. This is where if you have blocks, you can also use the blocks under your hands if you need that range of motion. So reminding you to connect your breath with this movement. So always breathing and as best you can through your nose. So you're exhaling when you go back, you're inhaling as you come forward. We have 2 more times. 1 more time. We're gonna come forward, stay forward, lift the arms up off the floor, web your fingers together and reach and give it a nice big stretch. So hopefully feeling this stretch in your right hip. Stack your upper body over your hips. And if you can, lean back, only if it feels okay, only if it's accessible. We're gonna release the hands, grab onto the right wrist, and pull on that arm, like you're trying to pull it gently out of its socket, and just tilt to the left a bit. Just to feel that stretch. Pull down into the front of your right thigh. Bring it back to the center, arms down, left leg, knee comes down. We're gonna sit back in that child's pose. So if you do have blocks, you can get a little bit of an extra shoulder stretch here by putting your hands on top of the blocks, pushing the blocks as far forward as you can, and pressing the chest towards the floor. We're gonna lift ourselves back up. Bring the right foot forward now. Make sure your left toes are digging into the mat. And we're gonna move forward and back on this. So again, blocks or no blocks. Your right foot's down on the floor. And you're trying to keep your right toes, like big toe, every single toe down and engaged on the mat as you lean back. Getting a nice shin stretch, top of the foot. It's always in yoga that I'm like, oh my God, my feet. I need to do something with these feet. They look like they've been ignored for so long. 2 more times here. Last time, coming forward. So now let's lift it up, stretch out that left hip. Bring your shoulders right over your hips, arms up in the air. Flip your hands, so you're webbing your fingers, palms up. Reach and stretch, maybe lean back if that feels good. Remember, if this hurts your left knee, get something under your left knee to support it. And we're lunging forward. We don't want to be leaning back. We want to be lunging forward to stretch and open that left hip. Release the hands, grab onto the left wrist. Pull that arm up and lean over to the right just a bit. And we're gonna release the stretch, bring our hands to the floor. Don't go anywhere. Keep your right leg in front. Get into warrior 1 stance. So that means your left foot goes flat on the floor, pivoting that foot in a bit. Slowly help yourself up. Bring your shoulders over your hips. Warrior 1, your hips are facing the front of the mat. Hips are side by side, knees bent about 90 degrees. reach your arms up. And I just want you to hold this for about 30 seconds. Nice strong pose. Back legs extended, you're breathing through the nose. Your shoulders are relaxed, away from the ears. We're just gonna hold each stretch. We're gonna flow through a few yoga poses, stretching it out, strengthening. We're just gonna hold each one for about 30 seconds, where I want you, again, focused on breathing through the nose. Gently open up to warrior two. So you're gonna spin, open the left arm, right arm, so they're stacked. And maybe we're opening our stance a little bit more. Now the hips are facing the side of the mat, so they're no longer going forward. Watch your right knee that it doesn't fall in. Upper body right over the hip. So if you can see yourself in the camera, or if you have a mirror, check out your form. Be aware of what's going on in your body. That left arm, it can get lackadaisy there, so be mindful of the left arm. Spread out your fingers. And you're looking over your right middle finger. Finger. I know Leanne's making fun of the way I say finger, finger. So holding it there, breathe. Watch that you're not hiking up your shoulders. Push them away from the ears. Another thing to check for, equal pressure between your right foot and your left foot. So we're not leaning all the body weight on that right leg. And we're gonna flip the right hand up towards the ceiling. Left arm's gonna come down, and we're going into exalted warrior. So left arm's reaching towards the left heel, right arm's coming up towards the ceiling or behind your head. You're looking up at your right hand. Make sure you're not starting to straighten out that right knee. So keep that right knee bent. Reach up. Keep reaching up with the right fingertips towards the ceiling. Reach, 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 reach. Breathe through your nose. And then bend the right arm, come forward and relax the right forearm on the right thigh. And then lift the left arm up over your head. So from your pinky all the way down to the outside of the left leg, I want you to feel that extension and stretch. Open your chest towards the ceiling just a bit. And now look wherever you want to look. Look up at the ceiling maybe. Maybe getting a good whiff of your armpit this morning. Or maybe you're looking down at the ground. Do what works for you here. Hold it here. Feel that extension. Keep reaching. Press through the outside of the left foot. Breathe. 2 more deep breaths here. And then I want you to come back up, lift your upper body, kind of going into a warrior two, but our fingertips are going to be by the ears. And we're going to work some core. So right elbow is going to come down towards the right thigh if you can, touching it. And then back up where you're tracking straight up, upper body over the hips. So come down, and you should feel the right thigh. Mine's shaking. But again, make sure your left thigh is not the only one doing the work. Your right leg wants to power up here. Nice and slow. Inhale when you come up, exhale when you go down. We're gonna go for 8 more. 7, nice and slow. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Keep your fingertips by the ears. Now lift your left heel off the floor. Turn your hips to the front of the mat. So we're going into a crescent moon. Maybe you need to adjust yourself a little. Back heels off the floor and your hips are side by side. Then I want to do a nice simple lunge. You're going to bring your left knee towards the floor, not touching the floor, and stand back up again. Bending your legs, bending and straightening the legs. Nice set lunge. So squeeze your shoulder blades together. Think about engaging the upper back muscles. Corinne's taking her sweater off. I'm so hot. I'm going to take mine off. Keep going. Just because Corinne's taking hers off, I'll take mine off. So pull the elbows back, look straight ahead, breathe through the nose. You're going to go for 8 more. 7, 6, 5, last 4, last 3. Here's your last 2. Here's your last 1. Stay down. Slowly lean forward, bring your hands to the floor. Tuck your right knee in, foot off the floor, hold a plank. So plank position, right knee tucks in, do whatever you can, hold it here. If you want to challenge yourself, I invite you to twist, extend the right leg, tuck it in, and bring it back to center. See if you can do 4 of those. If your body's like, no thank you this morning, you can just hold this tuck. Lots of options. If the tuck's a little challenging, you can hold a plank on your knees. As long as you're moving, right? As long as you're doing something. And we're gonna push back to a downward facing dog with the right leg up in the air. So a 3-legged downward dog. Make sure you're not opening up your right hip. Keep your hips side by side. Relax the head down. Breathe through your nose, nice deep breaths here. And then that right foot goes down to the floor. Settle into your mountain pose, your downward dog, push away from the floor. Get that bum up towards the ceiling. Feel the stretch. Maybe shifting your hips from side to side. And settle in the center, bring your knees to the floor, table, and then child's pose. You're gonna keep the flow going. So child's pose, come back up to table, go back to downward facing dog. For the next 30 seconds, keep that flow. Try to keep your mouth closed, breathe through your nose. Your goal in downward dog is to get the heels as close as you can to the floor. So your feet are flat on the floor, getting that nice calf stretch. Next time you're in table, I want you to hold it into table. Bring your left foot forward this time. And then you're gonna lift your right knee up, get into that warrior 1 stance. So once you feel nice and grounded, then you can lift your upper body up, checking yourself. So hips are side by side here. Make sure you're not hurting your right knee. So bring that right foot in a little bit. Bend that left leg, arms up in the air, shoulders tracked over the hip. Breathing through the nose. I want you to think about spreading out your fingers here. Open up your hands, spread out your finger, activate your hands. Get those muscles working in the hands. If you can, back bend just a bit and look up towards the ceiling. That's an option there if you want it. If that doesn't feel good, don't do it. Remember, this is your workout. You're doing what feels good for you this morning. I'm gonna slowly open up to warrior 2, spin around, open up, track your right and left arm. So they want to be parallel to the floor. Make sure your hips, your shoulders are right over your hips. Woo. And just check your adjustment. So watch your left knee, that it's not falling in. We're using our outer glutes to stabilize that knee joint. Holding it there, nice strong upper body, strong core. Equal pressure between both legs, so your right leg wants to work just as much. Breathing, mouth closed. I'm gonna flip the left hand up, palm facing the ceiling. Reach that arm up. Now lean back, your fingers reach down towards your heel. Left fingertips up towards the ceiling, or you can go into a little bit of a back bend with that. Watch that you're not straightening out that left leg. Keep that left knee bent. Stick with your breathing here. We're gonna bend that left arm, lean forward onto our left thigh, reach that right arm right overhead, open the chest, bend the left knee again, side angle. And think of stretching from your right fingertips all along the side of the body, all the way to the outside of the right foot. Slowly come up to warrior two, fingertips by the ears, pull the elbows back, and then we're gonna bring the elbow, left elbow towards the left thigh. If you can, touch it. If you can't, who cares? Do whatever you can. Working our core here, engage your abs. Think of firing up those muscles in the stomach. Gonna go for 8 more. Inhale when you come up, exhale to go down. Last 4, 3, last 1. Excellent, hold it up here, lift that back right heel off the floor, turn your hips to face the front, adjust what needs to adjust, keep the fingertips by the temples, and hands activated, so we're not doing weak hands here. And we're gonna lunge down, bending both legs. I'm just gonna remind you to keep your shoulders over your hips. Pull the elbows back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. I'm gonna go for 8 more. Spread out your left toes. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last 1. Stay down. Bring your lower body forward, hands on the floor. Plank, tuck the left leg in. So you're just holding a nice strong plank, left leg in. Remember your options. If you don't like that, you can just hold a regular plank on your toes or on your knees. And if you want to make this more advanced, turn your hips to the right. Maybe extend the leg if you want to play with that, and then back to center. So I'm just giving you options. Do what works for you. Modify whatever you need to. Three-legged downward dog. So you're gonna lift that left leg up in the air. Hold it there. Hips are side by side, just as a reminder. You don't want to hike up the left hip. And then slowly bring the left foot to the floor. Holding that mountain pose or downward dog, lift your hips up, push away from the floor, relax your head. And then we're gonna go for some yoga push-ups. So I'm gonna modify this. I'll start a little bit more beginnerish. So you're gonna come to a high plank, knees to the floor, toes down, slowly lower down, tuck your elbows in, chest lands on the floor first. Then just come up for a cobra, chest and maybe a little bit of your ribs. Then go back down, push back for a child's pose. And then do it again. So I'll do this beginner version again. You're gonna come forward into a knee plank, lower down as you tuck in, taking your time, coming up, halfway or all the way, go back down, and then push back for child's pose. The advanced or more advanced version of this, instead of child's pose, you have downward dog. You come to a high plank position, lower down to the floor, tucking the elbows in, chest landing first, toes down, lift up for upward dog, hips off the floor. Then fold the feet, lift your hips up first, and go right into a downward dog. So you got different variations of this. Again, do what works for you. Try to continue with this flow, breathing through the nose. And take your time. You don't want to rush these. So as you're going down, carve the elbows in. Take your time. Nice job. You have about 30 seconds left for this. Nice and slow and controlled. And we're just gonna release our knees to the floor into table position. All right, then I'm gonna have us slowly turn over onto our backs. So we're just finishing off with a few extra things here. We're gonna do a butterfly bridge. So meaning go into a butterfly stretch, soles of the feet together. Once you're in that position, your knees opening up to the side, you're gonna lift the bum off the floor. Try to keep the knees as wide as you can. That bum doesn't need to be hiked up really high. And I want you to squeeze the butt muscle as well as push the feet together. So you should be feeling your inner thighs. You want to use your hands to see what's going on. Those adductors should be fired up as well as your glutes, your bum. So I want you to close your eyes and take the time right now to breathe. I'd say relax, but this isn't super relaxing yet. I know I sound like a broken record with this breathing through the nose, but when you breathe through the nose, it's so much more beneficial for this system. Activates that nitric oxide in your body. So taking the time to close your mouth and just breathe through the nose. Last 30 seconds, holding our bum up. Very slowly lower the bum down and allow the knees to open up a little bit more, stretching out the hips. And your hands are gonna rest on your belly. And I just wanna take a few belly breaths to finish off. I just want you to notice if this is easy for you to belly breathe or if you find it a little bit more challenging. But see as you're breathing in and out, if you can breathe just into your belly. So as you breathe in, you should feel your belly filling up. It should rise up. And then as you let the air go, slowly coming down. Two more belly breaths. And slowly help your thighs back together. And tucking the knees into your chest. And just stretching out that low back, shifting from side to side. And then gently fall to one side, helping yourself up. And there you go, folks. There's your quick and dirty yoga workout this morning. Thank you very much for joining.